Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and today, Boruto 2 Blue Vortex has dropped again. It's already that time of the month again, and we got ourselves a pretty interesting chapter here. Chapter 27, Bet Your Life on It. Now, let's start off and talk about this cover page. I really like this cover page because we get to see Inojin on the cover because he is going to be a very pivotal character in these next coming chapters because he's going to be tasked with some tall tasks in this chapter. Let's get into it. So this chapter starts off right where it left off in the last chapter when Sarada and Sumire were figured out by Ada. She knows that they aren't susceptible to her charm ability, and Damon rushes them because Sarada thinks that they're in a hot seat now, but it was all a facade. Now in this scene we learned that Ada really just wants a genuine connection, and back in Boruto part 1 we see that she wanted to be friends with Sumire and Sarada, and that's what she got, and she truly felt that having them as friends were pivotal for her. So when Kawaki used the omnipotent ability on the world, she made sure she left out Sumire and Sarada from her ability so that she can have them as true friends, because her whole life she's sort of just been used and she hasn't had a real connection. So in this chapter we learn Ada's true motives here, and they hug, and it was a very sweet moment for me when I read this. All the tension that has been built up just for it to kind of end like this is kind of like, man, what's going on for real? But it makes sense in the themes of Naruto and whatnot in Boruto. So let's go to the next scene. Next scene we are with Kashin Koji, Inojin, and Boruto with Shikamaru. We have Shikamaru with them as well, and they're discussing the plan with Mamushi. Now, Kashin Koji goes ahead and breaks down in this scene that Mamushi is able to split himself evenly, and unlike shadow clones, his power doesn't drop off with each clone. His power is retained. But the drawback of this power is that each time he is able to multiply or divide himself into other Mamushis, his intelligence just drops throughout this division. So each clone that he makes, the dumber he's going to be. And the tactics and whatnot for this is explained pretty well. So they sort of break down. We have questions by Shikamaru and Inojin. Shikamaru asks that why don't Mamushi leave one of himself back at base so that he can always have a clone that's alive, so if he rushes somewhere he doesn't lose everything by just having all his clones at once. Well, if he divides his clones, it makes it hard for that one to survive, and they want to flock together, because once they divide themselves, the more they split, they're gonna decrease intelligence, and their instincts are gonna tell them to stick with the pack. That's basically what that logic was, which is interesting. And then Inojin asks the question of why is this fight needing to happen in Konoha, because apparently Kashin Koji says that this fight needs to be in Konoha. Well, this fight needs to be in Konoha because Jura is the big X factor. Jura has a liking of Konoha, and he doesn't want this place to get trashed. So if they were to fight here, Jura wouldn't intervene. Anywhere else, Jura doesn't care. So if Boruto was to show up, because Boruto is Jura's target, or Himawari, it will get ugly really quick because Juro would be a factor, which is interesting. Does that mean that Mamushi is not supposed to destroy the Leaf Village? Will he intervene if it gets too crazy? That's an interesting question, because apparently Mamushi is going to follow Juro's sort of wishes and not let the village get destroyed. And then we see what Inojine's real purpose of being in this little Kara cult. Now, Inojine's position is to learn a new jutsu, a new mind transfer jutsu. What is this jutsu? What could this jutsu be? Could it be something with his Super B scrolls patents? I think this ability might be some type of ability that is able to connect everybody and to simultaneously strike everybody down, because in order to kill Mamushi, you have to take out his eyes, and if you take out one clone, another one will regain their intelligence. So maybe he needs to be used so they can simultaneously destroy all the Mamushi clones. So that's something that's going to be interesting. So that's his task. And this next scene, it's basically Kawaki and Amato talking about how powerful Juro is, which we already kind of know. And Kawaki is once again just asking for more power. Every time he's talking to Amato, he's just asking for more power. We saw it again a couple chapters earlier. So this scene is like, okay, we already know what type of timing Kawaki's on. He wants more power. He got to power up. But interesting enough, in this scene, we learn that if he gives himself too much power, he might self-destruct. And Kawaki's he's willing to roll the die on that one. So the next scene, we switch to the interrogation of Konohamaru, because Konohamaru's in the hot seat because he is suspected by this investigator that he is in cahoots with Boruto, and Boruto, we know, is a rogue ninja who killed his father, Naruto Uzumaki. So we learn that this investigator breaks down that Konohamaru is too dim and naive to be the sort of mole in this operation. And we see that Sai is in the background sort of watching his movements, and he makes weird faces once that he doesn't say anything in this scene, but his silence speaks volumes, because he is shown in multiple little panels where he's sort of glaring at Konohamaru while he's talking in a mind transfer jutsu that Inojin is using to connect Boruto, basically the Kara members, and Shikamaru, because Shikamaru is a part of this branch of Kara or whatnot. I call it Kara. They're not Kara, but since Kashin Kojin's leading it, I think it should be like a Kara type of thing. So he gets connected with Konohamaru, or Konohamaru gets connected with Shikamaru in this, and they basically ask Konohamaru to join their side and to really lock in, because he's already suspected, but they know that he's not the mole. Shikamaru tells Konohamaru in this mind transfer line that Shikamaru was the mole. He was the one that made Boruto free from custody. So this is that scene. We go to the next scene, and this scene is very interesting because Boruto and Sumire interact in this, and Boruto comes to Sumire with a favor that apparently only she is able to do. Now, Boruto's sword, or Sasuke's sword that Boruto borrowed from his master, got chipped in his last battle. Now, this chip was caused because he wasn't able to focus his chakra into the blade, making it shatter for a split second when he lost his focus during the fight with Juro. Now, Sumire is in like the head, or she assists in the science department. So they're basically R&D And so he gives Sumire essentially blueprints to new technology that is beyond this time, using Kashikojin's future sense abilities, his future, all these different futures abilities. So he asked her to basically make an upgrade on the sword, which is pretty cool. I wasn't gonna guess that Boruto's power up would be a tool, but this is very fitting for this sort of theme of this whole Boruto sort of series of using tools and scientific ninja tools and using it correctly and not being scared to use it. Like, we learned that theme in part 1, so it's coming back in this. And this is where the chapter essentially ends. The last panel, we see that we get a several days later time skip with Mamushi ready to attack the leaf and find Ada. Now, what do I think about this chapter? I think this chapter is okay. This chapter explained things that we had questions about, as far as Ada's motive and how Sumire and Sarada was able to bypass the omnipotence ability. So learning how that was voided by them was good, but I feel like a lot of people aren't gonna like the fact that she simply just felt for Sarada and Sumire because they were her only friends. I mean, she had Damien, but maybe them being a girl, I mean, she's had a friend, right? Like, I don't know. So that's kind of okay. It's cool to see that. It really hit me that they were thinking about killing her this whole time just for her to be like, yeah, I don't really care if you guys are under my spell or whatnot, because I just want real friends. It's pretty funny that it's kind of been built up this whole time that she just wanted to scrap, or she was sort of on edge, but she is not a ninja. She is just somebody who sort of this byproduct of all this ninja tool and her tech and her ocular ability. So it's kind of cool to see her true motives, her true feelings. But she has also said in that chapter where she was willing to die if it was by the hands of Sumire and Sakura, or Sarada. So that's kind of okay. I think that's okay. And then part I didn't really like is Kawaki's and Amato's conversation. I feel like every time they talk, it's just him wanting more power. So it just kind of reinforces, like, okay, he just wants more power. Last time he talked to him, he just choked him out and he wanted more power, and now he's doing sort of the same thing again. It's sort of like the rinse and repeat. We've seen this already from Kawaki, and I don't think this scene really progresses much. We knew that Jiro was basically unbeatable and unstoppable, invincible. We could see that. We didn't really need a breakdown of that, and then seeing Kawaki just do that again, that I think that's gonna be the big thing that loses a lot of points, is that scene, because I don't really like that scene a lot. But other than that, I think this was a good setup chapter for everything else. Things with Konohamaru and Shikamaru and the Kara, and Inojin's sort of responsibility in this next upcoming battle is very interesting. So I'd give this chapter a solid 6. It's above average chapter. No fighting, but that's okay. We got some cool narrative points, but some other narrative points that don't really hit that great. So that's going to be my final verdict. Now, in this portion, I want to predict, sort of give my thoughts on what do I think was going to happen next, and talk about some of these characters and whatnot. Now, I want to talk about Inojin because, man, yeah, has he gotten a big role out of nowhere? And like I said in that overview of the chapter, maybe this jutsu will connect everybody so they're able to simultaneously take out Mamushi. I think that will make sense, but who knows what his ability is going to be. But he only has a couple days to do it. And we learned that he's able to, this ability is based off of a future where Himawari dies and he makes it out of frustration. So that's pretty great. That's pretty insane. And Inojin says he's ready to learn it in 2 days. So that goes to show that Inojin's ready to die for Himawari. He's ready to crash out. So we see that with his character. It was kind of foreshadowed in part 1 and especially in the anime. So another character I want to talk about is Ada. Ada's true motives here. Like, I don't really know how to feel completely, but it makes sense in the grand scheme of the Naruto and Boruto themes of her just wanting to have that connection of that love, which I really like. I don't really have a terrible problem about this. It's just sort of the tension brewing with this, just for it to sort of end like this is kind of underwhelming, but it makes sense for the plot. Now, this Mamushi thing, I wonder how powerful he'll be by himself. So we know that he can split his power. And we saw that Boruto was sort of shaking up when fighting sort of all the Shinjus, and Mamushi was one of the ones to sort of kind of have him on his toes. So I wonder how he's gonna move in this and what he wants to do, because Ada, he's also shown to sort of counter Ada's ability where she's able to be everywhere and see everything with her eye, and Mamushi can kind of be in that dimension where she's able to use her eyeball. So I wonder if we see Ada fight in this. That would be cool, but we'll probably see Damon fight, but his reflection ability, it's going to be interesting to see if he gets dumb and everything just... Oh my goodness, I just made a thought. I just had a crazy thought. What if Inojin's ability connects Damon and they use Inojin's mind transfer to connect everyone to Damon? Because Damon's ability is reflection. So Inojin can link Damon's reflection ability with everybody, so that when Mamushi has an attack or something, it will just kill all of them, or maybe just kill one, or maybe I'm just getting ahead of myself. That would be crazy though if he's able to connect everyone like that. Ooh, that was a pretty good thing, but I don't know if that's going to be the case, because what would be the point of telling him that we need to cut everyone's eyes out at the same time? I don't know. I don't think that will be the way, but it has to do something with Inojin connecting everybody together. I already kind of said what is going to be Kawaki, because we saw that Kawaki and Boruto just had a power increase, and now we're having another one. Kawaki is just doing the same thing Kawaki does and just getting raw upgrades, a raw power, and expense to his body and his durability, essentially. Boruto's getting a new tool. So how much of a power up are we gonna see? Is this power up is going to be enough to face Mamushi? is it even going to be enough to maybe defeat Jura? That would be something that'd be very interesting to see here, but I don't know. Mamushi is shaping up to be a real handful for this group of people. And what is this investigation team? How are they going to come into the mix? Because this plot line is going to be a wild card, I think, because something's going to happen and someone's going to be like, "Oh, you're a traitor," or Hokage is no longer the Hokage or whatnot, because it's getting tense in the Hidden Leaf Village, and Shikamaru is a one stressed guy because he's trying to juggle a lot of things while sort of staying ahead of the people that he rules. Other than that, that's really it for what I think about this chapter. I'm excited to see how Mamushi moves. So, yeah. Until next time, what do you think? Am I tripping, or do you think what I think? Or let me know some of your predictions down in the comments below.